iDigital Pranav. Now, in this short video, we are going to discuss about one of the CSS properties of CSS variables, and we will see how CSS variables helps us write reusable and maintainable CSS code. So, I will continue my discussion from the previous video that we had two cards, and these are inside of my section. Now, inside of my style.css, you will find that there might be scenarios in which you need to use a particular value inside of CSS multiple times in your entire CSS project. Maybe it's 10 or 15 or 20 times. And in case in the near future you wish to edit that particular color, so you need to change those colors. If you have hard coded those values, you need to change those colors in 15 to 20 different places. Now there is a better way of doing this. So for example, let us say that inside of my card I have a color of, let's say, black, and a background color of antique white, which is what is present here, and also give some padding of 1 rem, right? And I will give this section the same thing which I gave in the previous video. I will give it a display property of flex, and I will give it a gap of 2 rems with a flex direction of column. Now, in case that this color black, or let's say this is a very unique color, and you want this color black to be across all of the different HTML elements, so the very naive thing that you can do is you can copy this stuff up and you can paste it in every other CSS selector manually. So instead of that, what you can do is you can define the root class, which is denoted by colon root, and here you can define a CSS variable. Now inside of a CSS variable, the structure of a CSS variable looks like double hyphen, and then you can give it any name which you want. So let's say I give it a name of basic text color, and now for this CSS variable I will give it a value of black. And now I have defined a variable inside of the root of my HTML. So this root class is used to define variables scoped inside of the entire HTML document, right? And now I have defined a variable by the name of basic text color, and its value is black. Now in order to use this black or use this CSS variable, I will, instead of using the black color as hard coded, I will use the var property present inside of CSS, and here I will define the CSS variable that I want to use. Now this will ideally give me the same result. Now if I change this to anything else, it will be consistent across every other places where the variable is being used. So CSS variables are a great way in case you want to define some solid colors and some primary and secondary colors, and you want them to use across multiple places. So instead of just hard coding the color values or the theme values, you define a root class like this and specify all of the different CSS variables with all of their respective values, and then directly use the var and access that particular CSS variable in place. This is a great way of writing some reusable and a very maintainable CSS code, because now you don't need to worry about changing the color name or the value in multiple places, and you can only change that at one place and it will get reflected across all of your CSS file. So this is the entire fundamental of a CSS variable. You can also do CSS variables with some calculations. There is a calc property which is available, which is used to calculate something based on the viewport height and width, which is something beyond the scope of our discussion right now. But you can store any type of value inside of CSS variable and then reuse it again in different places. So that kind of brings us to the end of our video. Now we'll go through the HTML page that we created in the previous module and try applying all of the CSS concepts that we learned in this particular CSS module and try to make our web page whole. So I will see you all in the further videos.